Zion Beis Yavis, this is a Pliga Rabbi Zira. Two mouthfuls of Pligas. Let me see this. It's right below. Hey, middle of the line.
Yeah, I see it. Well, a little further down.
This is Pliga Rabbi. Yeah, there it is. Okay? Rabbi Zira is the one who holds that we say rove, that when an onion grows, so we say that let's say it grows more during the 8th year, so that's mevatel, the prohibited growth in the 7th year. Like we said yesterday, Rabbi Zira on the one hand, Rav Ami and Rav Asi on the other hand, where the next year's growth can be mevatel the previous year's growth. When it grows for further 8 years, that cancels out the prohibited growth of the 7th year. So it sounds Rabbi Zira holds it does, and we're going to bring down our Mishnah, which argues on Rabbi Zira. The Taniyah Taman, we learned over there, Gidulei Truma. That which grows out of Truma is considered to be Truma. The Gidulei, and the reason I should say that's the Rabbanan. Because the reason why they made all that which grows out of truma is because otherwise they're afraid they're going to leave crop around, which is truma tzmeya, until you replant it, and it will grow then into stuff which is tar. In the meantime, while you're leaving around, perhaps you're going to eat it and you're going to stumble and transgress the prohibition of eating truma, which is tummy. So therefore they made a decree that in order to prevent you leaving around, they don't gain anything by leaving around, because when you replant it, it becomes truma again. Okay? Only they did leave this intact, this kula, the giduleim, that which grows from the growth, that's chulin. Avol tevel u'maiser rishon, but stuff which was not yet tithe, and maiser rishon, stuff which was maiser rishon, and Tzvichei Shevi'is, and that which grows during Shemitah wild. Utrumas Chutz La'aretz, and Truma which is taken off in certain areas of Chutz La'aretz, V'ameduma, and stuff which got mixed together, Chulin and Truma, and Bikurim. All these cases replant the seeds from these fruits, then Gdulein, that which grows, is Chulin.
Here it says Trumas Meiser. No,
Trumas Meiser? That makes no sense. That's why you changed it to Trumas Chutzlar, obviously.
Trumas Chutzlar mean Truma of Syria?
Yeah, of Syria, or Tzor, where they'll be taking off Truma. Because Trumas Meiser, if anything, is regular Truma, so that's why this really should be Trumas Chutzlar. V'ameduma, stuff which is mixed in, good and bad, Bikurim, Kidulei and Chulin. All that which grows there is Chulin. All that stuff which grows is Chulin, and it's of course not also. But Tailon, we learned to say this by Medvar more. When is this true? But Dover Shazaro Kola, in a thing where the seed gets rots in the ground. I have a Dover Shain Zaro Kola, but let's say the seed is not rot in the ground, such as bulb plants, right? Things which are bulbs. So in that case, I have a Dover Shain Zaro Kola, Gidulin Isurin. Anything which grows even out of the growth, from the growth, is prohibited. Why? Because it always retains the character of the original bulb, or whatever else was there first. What does Rabbi Zira do with this? It seems to be pretty explicit that that which grows doesn't cancel which was there previously. So it says, he explains it, B'kedusha Shevi'is beviur. B'kedusha Shevi'is of those things which require biur, meaning that since they require biur, since they have to be they have to be, all you really have to do is put them out and make them hefker. So therefore Chazal say, you know what? So what? Go out and make them hefker. let's not rely on Bittul Barov in this case. It's like Davar Sheish Lo Matirin, right? Just like Davar Sheish Lo Matirin, some which will come tomorrow, we don't say is Batel today, wait till tomorrow. So too, go out and make beer on it. And that should, do it that way. Aval Achila, but stuff which is prohibited to eat. Kevan Shariba Le'en Chodosh, once you have a majority of new growth, even this Mishnah would concede that it's mutter, that you're allowed to eat it. So just like Rabbi Zir said, the new growth cancels the old growth. But the only time we say new growth doesn't cancel the old growth is only by that which you can do beer anyways, because we say instead of relying on the cancellation, go out and do the beer. Okay? So that's it's still a little bit difficult what he's saying, because it sounds like I understand now why by the Shevi'is stuff, that which grows cancels or cancels that which is, or that I should say that by the Shevi'is stuff, why that which does grow does not cancel. Does not cancel. It's a case where it's susceptible to beer. Why the stuff which grew does not cancel that which previously goes into beer anyway, right? But it doesn't fully explain all the cases there from the Mishnah which we just cited. Why in all those cases we say that they're not batel if it's a bulb which doesn't get rot in the ground. Okay, but I don't want to get into it because it's complicated. Let's go on and we'll go further. Ravo al Arbel. Ravo went up to Arbel, Vizkabel, and he stayed, or he was greeted by Gabi Abba Bar Minyamin. Asim Risholun, so they came and asked him, Bilim Butzlaya, what's the halacha of these onions which they planted during Shemitah and then grew furthermore, they grew again. You uproot them during Shemitah and you replant them and they grew again during this 8th year. For Elani Paskin called Kihada Rabbi Zira that the old growth is cancelled in a new growth. Chamsun Smichin Ulave. So he saw that people were relying on him and that which he said. He didn't like that. Armaloni said, no. Anilo Amarti Elabim Rukonim. Now, he gives here in the bottom of the Kavanaki a certain shot, but I would like to say the shot is like this. That not different than what he says. Rukonim, we said, are things which are beaten down. Rukonim means they're beaten down, although not completely severed from the ground. That's what we said earlier in the Masechta. So I would like to propose that here when he says Merukani, man, I didn't mean that you guys can go Chatchila, uproot a plant during Shemitah and then replant it during the 8th year. That I could not permit, because that's really being Mevatel Isra Chatchila, taking the prohibited substance and canceling it intentionally, and that is prohibited. Halach does not allow that. Rather, what he said, what I meant you could do is, if you had a plant which is left in the field and was beaten already out of its socket, so to speak, so it's not fully attached to the ground, and then it reattaches itself and grows during the 8th year, that I would permit. But again, not for you to take up the plants and replant them. That is forbidden, because then you're intentionally being mevatel for chatchila. I can't allow that kind of activity. Okay, is that clear? Rabbi Yehuda said, by Rabbi Yehuda and Pasi, Ana Yoda Reisha v'Seifa. No, that wasn't the Maisa. I know the beginning of the Maisa and the end of the Maisa. Kad Shama Rabbi Ila Rabbi Yami Pligan, when he heard the Rabbi Ila and Rabbi Yami argue Rabbi Zira and say that we're not mevatel in such a scenario, then Sora Minei, Rabbi Avo fell off. He rescinded the heter he had previously alleged to have been granted, to have granted. Okay? Or he had previously granted. He fell away from the heter which he previously gave, because he heard the Rabbi Yami and Rabbi Ila arguing Rabbi Zire and said that you're not mevatel Isra in such a case, where now there's additional growth canceling the previous growth. Okay, new Mishnah. When can a person buy vegetables in Motzoi Shemitah and assume that the vegetables he's buying are okay? When this 8th year has passed enough that new fruits of that kind are growing out in the field. Because then you assume that this is from the new crop. If one place, which is, so to speak, precocious, literally it's a bechor, it's the first, already is producing a new Torah field, and you can even start buying stuff in places where they're not yet producing at full speed ahead. Because I make and say that mistama, this is from the new crop. Rebbe Yitel Ikach Motzei Yerek Motzei Shevi'is Biyad. Rebbe, we will see in the Gemara why, was matir, permitted people to take vegetables on Motzei Shemitah immediately. He didn't require one to wait at all. Okay?
We had this.
Yeah, we did. Now, let's see the Gemara. Go to the Gemara. Tanya, we learned. Originally, Shemitah fruit was also in the borders of Eretz Yisrael because he assumed that the fruit came from Eretz Yisrael. Then they made a takana that vegetables are always permitted in the outskirts of Eretz Yisrael, even during Shemitah itself. Why? Because mistama, the vegetables there come from Chutz La'aretz. Nonetheless, so also lahavi yerek michutz la'aretz. It still is forbidden technically to bring vegetables from Chutz La'aretz. But just like if you live near the Mexican border, there are always drugs coming over. So if you live near the Israeli border, there are always vegetables coming over. So they made the halacha jibe with reality, right? Chozu v'tzkinu. And then they made a new takara. That they made it permissible to bring vegetables michutz la'aretz. They made a new takara, even bating that outright. Nonetheless, they did not feel that Motzei Shemitah there immediately was a glut of vegetables in the marketplace that they could permit the people to buy vegetables right away. Until Rabbi came and people to buy vegetables Motzei Shemitah immediately. Why? Because so much is coming Chutz La'aretz that they assumed it was all from Chutz La'aretz. Barmi kafluta. The one exception was a type of vegetable called kafluta. He said those are unique, those are Israeli fruits, those Israeli vegetables, and therefore I cannot assume that they come from Chutz La'aretz Motzei Shevi'is. Ma avdun lei. Well, you don't have the words leitzi poroi, do you? You do? I wonder when it's hard to tell when you do and you don't. What did the Tzipori, people of Tzipori do to Rebbe? They took a kaflut, vegetable, and dressed it up in sackcloth and ashes. Rebbe. And they brought this vegetable in front of Rebbe. And they said to Rebbe, how did this vegetable sin more than any other vegetable? That this vegetable is the last one which you're still leaving also. The Sharalei alone. Once Rebbe saw this, I don't know if he got the joke or he had Rachmanis on them, but he was matir even to take kafluta immediately on Motzei Shevi'is to buy it in the marketplace.
That was unique and indigenous Israeli.
Yeah, but they were saying it wasn't. He thought it was. That was his position. He was saying that they were saying it comes from all over the place and therefore should be matir.
It's analogous to it would be a sapper.
I guess. Anything. Yeah. I don't know if it only goes to Israel. It probably goes wherever there's a cactus. The ones you get here don't come from Israel. You thought they came from Israel? No. Come from, Arizona. Okay? Sabras.
Yes.
Cactus fruit.
Prickly pears. That's the only place you can get it.
Ula Ba'ishma, Mishum Rabbi Chanina said, Rabbi Yossi ben Yehuda bar Yehuda nachtun la'ako. Rabbi and Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda went down to Akko. These kabel Rabbi Muna and they stayed with Rabbi Muna. They said, Rabbi, please make us a pot full of vegetables. They said to their host. So Rabbi Muna, nothing doing, he made them meat. The next day said, Rabbi, they were afraid of their cholesterol. Make us a pot full of vegetables. They made for them a chicken. They said that they're not getting anywhere. They saw it not getting anywhere. Rabbi said, Rabbi said, Nikar huzeh shumaft mi pesach shmuel. It's obvious that this guy is from the doorway of Shmuel, meaning Shmuel was the doctor, and the advanced medicine of the time held vegetables are not good for a person. Vegetables are no good. Proteins are good, and that's why he's giving us all this meat and chicken to eat. No, it's not from the school of health. The Lama of Atkain, why is he doing this? To Talmud min Talmudei the Rabbi Yehuda is the student of the students of Rabbi Yehuda, my father. The Rabbi Yehuda Omer Hayerek Osir B'Sfarei Eretz Yisrael, who said vegetables are still osir in the border cities of Eretz Yisrael, one of which was Akko, obviously. Karasa L'Gabei Tanei Uvda. When Rabbi Muna came to Rabbi Muna, when Rabbi Muna came to who? To Rabbi Yehuda must be. Yeah, to his Rebbe, to Rabbi Yehuda. So Amar Lei, Rabbi Yehuda's Rebbe encouraged him and said, sorry, Chavesa Avid Kavas, and you needed, in other words, it was good, that which you did, not to serve them vegetables, but rather to serve them meat, because the vegetables, even in the border cities of Israel, are suspect to be Shemitah vegetables. Okay? Talmud here, we learned over there. Mina Yerek, if a person takes an oath to refrain from vegetables, mutter b'yakos sadeh is mutter to eat field vegetables. Because generally vegetables means the stuff which goes in your vegetable patch in your garden, not field or wild vegetables. Shulei Shein Levai, because that has an additional name attached to it, an additional descriptive name, which is Yarkos Sadeh. The Thailand, we learn concerning this, I know them in the Yerek, somebody takes an oath not to eat vegetables during the 7th year, Osir B'Yarkos Sadeh. He's forbidden to eat even the vegetables which grow in the field. And the reason why this is so is because in Shemitah, there are very few vegetables in the garden patches, because people haven't planted any. So therefore, if he askered vegetables during Shemitah year, he must be referring to vegetables which go wild out in the fields. Okay? Tnisa, we learned, Rabbi Crispa b'Shem Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel, V'amar Tama, well actually Rabbi Crispa b'Shem Rabbi Gamliel said this over, and he said a logic. Harder the tame, or he said a qualification, I should say. Harder the tame, actually, Rabbi Levi Yerek Michutz La'aretz Art. As if for Rebbe permitted bringing vegetables from Eretz Yisrael from Chutz La'aretz Eretz Yisrael. The Shita Rebbe Levi Yerek Michutz La'aretz La'aretz. Once Rebbe permitted bringing vegetables from Chutz La'aretz Eretz Yisrael, he shvis, he shnar, shar, shei, shavua. So there are vegetables in abundance all 7 years. So therefore, if he took an oath from vegetables, even during Shemitah's reference is only to garden vegetables, not the vegetables which go wild, because they're now contemporarily they're available during Shemitah as well. Taran today we learned over there. The Sharkei Roko Soda, all the other vegetables of the field, chutz mi shmarkin or pitrios. I don't know what shmarkin are. They're a type of sharp onion. Rashi, the Rambam says, and pitrios I know are mushrooms. Rabbi Omer. Chutz mi krishe soda, with the exception of field cress and regula neitz cholav. Rabbi Shomer chutz min achbios, with the exception of achbios or bios, and chutz min aklovsin. Be that as it may, these are 8 types of vegetables. Harei elu tzrichin machshov v'hechsher. All these type of 8 vegetables are not considered to be bona fide vegetables, and therefore, in order for them to be matami tumas ochlin, in order for them to get tumah, you have to both designate them for food purposes, and hechsher, you have to make them moist as well. Now, Amar Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina, why do we bring this all down? Because Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina said, Ocean b'Shvi'is, the ocean, which are endives, during Shemitah, normally people don't eat endives, but during Shemitah people eat them, even though they're very bitter, because people are that desperate for vegetables, right? So during Shemitah they're matamitu masochlin without any additional thought. Harder the Tamar, and this too we say, Ad Shalo Hiti Rebbe Lahav Yerek Michutz La'aretz La'aretz. This is before Rebbe permitted bringing vegetables from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. Shita Rebbe from Chutz La'aretz Eretz Yisrael. Shita Rebbe Levi Yerek Michutz La'aretz La'aretz. Once Rebbe permitted one to bring vegetables from Chutz La'aretz Eretz Yisrael, he shvis, he shnar, shnei shavua. There's no difference between endives during Shemitah the rest of the year. We do not assume that they are considered to be foodstuff. Unless specially designated, they're just weeds. They're not food. Okay? It says more further. Oh, going back to the Mishnah. Go back to the Mishnah for a minute. Going back to Mishnah, one is not allowed to take even truma, which is I think it goes one higher.
Oh.
Thank you.
My imagination, we didn't have
What? You don't have mushrooms?
No, we didn't have the whole discussion. I was searching frantically. The whole 3 or 4 lines you were reading weren't there.
Did you get the last part of Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina?
This last part, Rabbi Chanina?
Yeah.
No, the only thing we got was ocean.
Ocean. Okay, that lettuce is, that endive is required. They used to not require thought during Shemitah, now they require thought. That's what you have? Okay. No wonder gee, this is much even longer than yours. Alright. Amotim, it's a good set to buy though. The way he has it, it's always much easier to read. It's much smoother. No, there are only 4 volumes. Amotim Shem Sreifo Peiros. This you have, right? This is Mishnah. Amotim Shem Sreifo Peiros Shevi'is Mi'aretz L'chutzotz was now allowed to take Truma even though it became Tomei. And it's designated now for burning. And of course, all types of Peiros Shevi'is are now to be taken to Chutz La'aretz. Rabbi Shimon, for Shemati B'Peiros Shemotim L'Surya. One is allowed to take the stuff out to Syria, Ve'emotim Chutz La'aretz, not to Chutz La'aretz. Have a bone meimer lo pligin. At first, you have the Gemara, have a bone meimer.
Yeah.
All the way to the bottom, Mr. Zuhr.
Yeah, but down here, the beginning. Oh, back to, it's about
10 lines from
The bottom?
that.
In the parak.
the next page.
Have a boil meimar, they want to say that lo pligin, that they're not arguing. Rabban and Rabbi Shimon, that everybody agrees on how to take this stuff to Syria. There's more, nope, they are arguing. Ashtkatani, they found the machlokas explicit. Rabbi Yehuda Omer ad ksiv, Rabbi Yishimon Omer ad amona. Rabbi Yehuda says you can only take him until ksiv, meaning not to Syria, rather only that northern strip of Zombi. Rabbi Shimon says you can even take them out to Amona, which is the northeastern strip of Syria. Okay? Tanya, we learned Perish Fish Yatsul Chutzorts. What happens if you took the Perish Fish Chutzorts and now it's the time to do biur? So Mizbarim B'Koyim Adivrei, you do biur wherever you have them now. We've been in Chicago. Rabbi Shimon Elazar Mer Mevin Lo Tzvevachon. You have to be in there. It's Israel. Do biur there. The Chesivit says, "Ba'altzecha tiekot v'asolechon." Your land, all the food, the grain should be for eating. Rabbi Yaakov Bracha. Rabbi Yami Keu Tanakama. Rabbi Yami Paskin like Tanakama, meaning Rabbi. Ulukula, they can do beer wherever you find yourself. On Ravila, Vachlo, Avim, Mokum, as long as you don't take them from place to place in Chutz La'aretz, you do the beer wherever you find it and you stop transporting them in this prohibited fashion, which you've been doing till now. Let's go back to the Mishnah. Emivi and Truma in Chutz La'aretz. You don't bring Truma of Chutz La'aretz there because it's bad, really tummy. On Rabbi Shimon, Shamadi, Favorish, Mevim, Syria. Or you do bring Truma Tmeir from Syria to Eretz Yisrael, Ve'im Chutz La'aretz, but not from Chutz La'aretz to proper. Tamati, we learned over there, Ariston, certain individual, Hevi Bikurim Me'apami, brought Bikurim from a city in Syria, V'kivlu Imenu, and they accepted the Bikurim. So why those? If you have Truma, if you bring Bikurim, you should be able to bring Truma as well. Same type of commodity. Rabbi Yeshua, no, Bikurim B'achrayos Baile. Bikurim, the owners bring up to Yerushalayim. That we permit. However, Truma Ema B'achrayos Bailam. Truma, who goes? The owners don't bring the Truma to the Kohanim. The Kohanim go to the silos and try and procure the Truma for themselves. Therefore, if you allow Truma to come from Chutz La'aretz to Eretz Yisrael, where are the Kohanim going to go to get their Truma? To Chutz La'aretz. They're going to people's farm. That's right. That's what we asked for, bringing Truma's Chutz La'aretz into Eretz Yisrael. So they wouldn't go to Chutz La'aretz and pick up the Truma of Chutz La'aretz and bring it back into Eretz Yisrael. Is that clear?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I would.
That was how the Kohanim made their living, but like the Truma, they were on welfare, so they would go out to Chutz La'aretz.
So it kind of sets up like a housing situation. It says that this is how much you should probably give me. This person says no.
Yeah, but that's not what we're worried about.
I understand.
Yeah, of course that's a possibility. Okay? So I paid they pursue it to Chutz La'aretz, so we don't want them going to Chutz La'aretz. Therefore we asked them to bring the Truma back to Eretz Yisrael.
After the shiur,
Yeah.
I'm just curious though, afterwards we discussed like the concept of Shechianu and the concept of beer, everything, something where the person is no longer present in the field. When you have a situation where commerce is, it's like so open, you get fruits and vegetables all over the world.
Nowadays? So what's the problem?
So the problem is, we talk about beer from what? From the field that's in front of you?
On the Rebbe, you buy a Jaffa orange in Chicago. In the time of then on Shemitah year, you have to beer in Chicago. You put it on your front doorstep, and there are no longer any oranges on the trees in Illinois, and you make it hefker.
There aren't oranges in the tree in Illinois or in Israel?
In Illinois, it's local.
But there are no oranges.
The nearest location, you know what I mean, California, whatever, yeah, wherever they are, Florida. That's how it works. Okay?
Not according to the Israel.
No, it's according to your theory. I don't know for sure. I take that back. I don't know for sure, but that's what I assume. Maybe I'm assuming wrong.
Since the Torah is on the land of Israel,
Yeah, but not necessarily. Yeah, I understand, but I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know. And then you can take it back. You can take it back. Somebody else can take it before you, but you can make it. Okay?
Okay, I get
New parak. Parak Shvi. Klal Gadol Omer b'Shvi'is. They said a great general principle by Shvi'is. Koshu machal adam, anything which can be consumed either by human beings, or umachal bayim by animals, or minatzom, it's used in order to dye, dye, in a miskayim baritz, and it doesn't stay in the ground from year to year. Yesh lo Shvi'is. It itself has a kedusha Shvi'is. Uladama Shvi'is. And you buy, if you sell it, or you barter anything for it, then whatever you sold or bartered for it gets kedusha Shvi'is as well. Yesh lo biur, and therefore it has to be, you have to do beer on it whenever the proper day comes. Udamav, and if you sold it or exchanged it on whatever you got or in exchange, you have to also do beer as well. Vesa said, what are cases like this? Ole haluf hashoite, the leaf of the wild loof, Vala dandana, mint, Vaoshin, either chicory or endives, Vakrishin, leek, and two, I don't know, a regila v'neitz cholav, a cholav. All these cases are cases where they have shvi'is, but they don't have biur. What? They do have biur. These are the ones that do have shvi'is and do have biur. Sorry. Right. What are considered to be animal foods considered fit for animal consumption? Thorns and thistles. What are considered to be plants which are suitable for dyeing? Isates, which is indigo, and kutzeh, which is saffron. They have shvi'is, and their values, if they're bartered or sold, have shvi'is, and they have to be eradicated when the proper day comes, and so does lidmeim, that which is bought or exchanged for them also has to be eradicated when the proper date comes. Says the Gemara, going to the Gemara now, Tzavoin le'odam ma'u shetei alein kedusha shvi'is. Literally, this line means something that it actually means. That means, two different meanings. Literally means, is there constant kedusha shvi'is by paints? But we know that there is. That's what our Mishnah told us. Rather, the question is whether you're allowed to use human paints for no, you're allowed to use regular plants to be paint. Okay, tzavoin, lodem, ma'ushetelem kedusha shvi'is. Could you allowed to use regular plants for paint or not? Yishminim adol. It's here from the following case. The time we learned lachem, for your purpose, koshu tzorich lachem, anything which is your purpose. The tiny law we learned like from this, kigon, such as achila, ushtia, eating and drinking, vesika, and anointing, utzvia. Yotzta malugma, this precludes using truma fruit for a malugma to make a bandage, a plaster, sheina l'chol, it's not l'chol nefesh, it's only for sick people. Yotzta aluntis, this excludes also a certain type of fragrant wine, sheina l'tfeilin, it's only used for people who have no sense of smell. Rabbi Yonah boy, v'loma yotzta malugma. So Rabbi Yonah asks, why can't you use the shvita fruit for the purpose of a ointment? Sheina lech kedusha Shevi'is, because that's not considered to be a proper use during Shemitah. But Tanya, and we learned, in fact, don, utsadi. These are various different types of seeds which can grow during Shemitah, and istis, which is the paint plant. Shezorna salam otzai shvi'is, which are planted after Shevi'is is over. Kedusha Shevi'is chola alein. The kedusha. One second. You're allowed to plant them. That's what it means. Kedusha Shevi'is chola alein means they have the kedusha Shevi'is. What do you do with them? You plant them. Why do you plant them? Because what else can you do with these things? These are not edible commodities. These are dyes. So anything you can do with dyes is replant them. So that's what you do. You replant them. Shevi'is chola means you can't use them. You can't waste them. You have to use them. It's not what we would assume Kedusha Shevi'is means, which they're prohibited. No, it means that you have to actually use them for a proper and good purpose. Okay, that's what it's referring to.
You're not allowed to get hana from Kedusha Shevi'is.
What? You are. Hanos of consumption you're allowed to get from Kedusha Shevi'is. You can. You're just not allowed to get any other hanos, such as making money off it, as we'll learn in the future. Okay? So that's what he's telling him here. He says that these cases where you plant it after Shemitah is over. Let me go back a line. Don v'tzadi v'zera isti. So all these paint plants, I know some the soy Shevi'is shall plant after Shevi'is is over. Kedusha Shevi'is chal aleim. That's a proper use for whatever grow during Shemitah to use them for this, post Shevi'is time. Maikadun, how do we know that's a good use for them? Lachem, because it says you should use it for yourselves. Davar shava kol tzorchem, the thing which is equivalent, in other words, which is good for all your needs. So, yeah.
What about during the Shevi'is year itself?
No, you can.
You can't.
You can use it, but you can't replant it. You can plant them with Shevi'is. Okay? Says Rabbi Yossi b'Shem Rabbi Hila Shamalah Minato. He heard the same principle from the following brayso. The Tanya we learned, it should be. In other words, you should have the Shemitah, and besides that, besides having the Shemitah, all the fruit will be for you. You just use the Shemitah fruit to light a candle. You can also use it also for dyeing. As the more on this price of learning, all these cases can be eaten by human beings. Aren't you causing them loss by limiting all these cases can be eaten by human beings. Aren't you causing a loss of their optimum use by allowing them to be used to light candles or for whatever thing you're detracting from their significance, right? If they're already considered to be part and parcel, these plants or these let me do that over again. I think I messed it up. I'm not sure. Rabbi Yossi b'Shem Rabbi Hila Shamalah min Ador D'Tanya. You learned this from that what you learned. You can use Shemitah fruit also to be lit. Also to die. Aren't you causing it to be lost? Right? In other words, you're ruining something which is hypothetically so good for you person to eat. Says no. When can you use the colors for this purpose? When they're meant to be colors. You can't take something down a notch. But here these things are made to be colors meant to be colors to begin with. Right, that's one answer. On Ramona, say you know what it's talking about? That
Okay, listen, you have to do me a favor, sure. Eat this thing here, and bake it with food. It has to be the first thing that you get down on has to go to Zach. Zach has to, because I'm going to have at least an hour and a half.
Just a minute, I forgot what the shot is here.
Tell him I must have it by noon. If I have it by noon, if I tell him by noon,
Let's go back one more time. It's Rabbi Yossi b'shem Rabbi Hila. Rabbi Yossi b'shem Rabbi Hila shama lo minado. He said, "We heard from this purpose. The Tanya Tiya Apla Lokaser. You should the fruit for lighting candles. Ablis Bobel Tseva for dying. Lonim Tsesim Abid on them. Aren't you causing a loss of something which is suitable for human beings to eat? He put there, but Savoyin Lo Adam. We're talking about using these commodities for coloring something for a human being. In other words, I can use commodities which produce paint which is suitable for human consumption for human beings. If it produces a paint which is suitable only for commercial purposes, meaning for painting these things which are necessary for animals, then I can use it for that purpose as well. But I can't take something which is suitable for coloring something for human consumption and use it to color something for animal consumption. Consumption, I mean usage. Now, this manifests a very interesting phenomenon which we no longer have. All our paints are synthetic. They actually had paints which some paints were used for human beings, and different inferior paints were used for animals. The animals didn't paint with the paints, but the saddles and other stuff which was put on the animal's back were painted with these paints. Tapestries to put on the pillow which you put on the animal. Do you understand what I'm saying?
We're not talking about food dye. We're talking about when you say human consumption.
Right. The clothing, for instance, my clothing, your clothing would be dyed with a better quality dye that would be used to dye. They all came from plants. But it would be better quality dye than the dye used for animals' purposes. Okay? It's a funny thing because we don't have such a concept nowadays.
So why is there a distinction between human consumption and animal consumption?
So you're not allowed to take that which could have been used for humans and use it for animals. So the same thing is true about a dye. A dye which is suitable for human use, you can't use for animal use.
The other way around.
Yeah, you can do it the other way around. Because that's elevating it. You can't diminish it. Okay? So,
So that's a Kedusha phenomenon.
yeah. It's a Kedusha phenomenon. Yeah, that's a Kedusha Shevi'is. Okay? So, Tipater Omer Avimar said no. That which it says here that you can use for adlokos haner and for coloring. So it's talking about ba'ochle behemo la'adam. It's talking about what you can use. You can use stuff which an animal would otherwise eat for the paint of an individual. That which an animal would eat to paint for human beings' purposes. Okay? So if that's the case, Yeah, but 1 second. Yeah, but now the Gemara's question is not answered. Because the Gemara's question way back at the beginning of the Gemara was, dies for human beings, they have the Kedusha Shemitah. You never answered that question. If you hold that we're talking about a case here where Tzaboin L'Adam, and that they're limited, you can't use it for human, for an animal, so then you have a riot that paints have Kedusha Shevi'is in and of themselves. Or Monita is talking about Ochle Behema. It's talking about foodstuffs. You want to use it in order to paint, but it's really a foodstuff. So there's no indication here as to whether something which is solely and exclusively a paint has Kedusha Shevi'is. We don't see any indication of that from this Gemara. Okay? Can't be learned out according to anyone. Tzavoy L'Behema. Now, of course, we're going to ask the next question, but we're not going to be able to resolve it either. Tzavoy L'Behema, colors which are meant to use for animals. Ma'usha Te'elen Kedusha Shevi'is. Oh, we will be able to answer it. Scratch that. Dyes used for animals. Can't do that for Kedusha Shevi'is. No. By other, we said we don't know. So what's the best answer we can give by dyes used for animals? It's no better. What's the only answer we could possibly give with certainty?
Use it for humans.
But it's not edible to humans. It can only be paint for humans.
Yeah,
but paint used for humans itself is only thought a suffix. So paint used for animals at best can be it can be a suffix too. If we're going to give a definitive answer, what is the only definitive answer we can give about it? No, it has no Kedusha Shevi'is, and that's what we're root of another couple of trees. Bikra Avered, the dye made from the root of a rose, Amen Kedusha Shevi'is. They have no Kedusha Shevi'is. So we see that which is only good to serve as a color for an animal certainly doesn't have Kedusha Shevi'is. Okay? Mina Kvitos. Shemau She'elem Kedusha Shevi'is. Detergents. Do they have Shevi'is? Nishmenim Me'adot. Serve in this case. The time Osivalim, they added on to those which have Kedusha Shevi'is. Chalbonon, whatever that is. V'lu'unin, he says, is sorrel. A type of poor grain which can be used for laundry. Va'boris va'oel, boris is a type of detergent. Oel is aloe vera. Yesh le'en Kedusha Shevi'is. No, but that doesn't grow. The sweet sun which grows. True. No. Sorry. Boris oil yesh le'en Kedusha Shevi'is. So we see that stuff which is used for laundry does have Kedusha Shevi'is. Midei b'samit. What about fragrances? It's here from this case of Tanimler. White and red flowers. And not colors. Chavraya Amrin, the Chabura said, Shimini, that's where Shimini, the sap of a tree has no sheaths and they say no pre because it's not a fruit. So then maybe that which the perfume has no Kedusha Shevi'is is also correlated to that. Everybody agrees that perfume has no Kedusha. No Kedusha Shevi'is. Why?
Can you use flowers, roses?
Yeah, no, we're going to get to roses. Rose is a bad example. Other flowers you can, yes. The only possibility where you don't have Kedusha Shevi'is is ba'adad in the sorta, is when you have wood chips which are fragrant. Because wood chips are fragrant, don't have Kedusha Shevi'is. Why not? They don't grow. They're not flowers. They're not the produce of the tree. So any other type of fragrance that comes from a tree or from a plant would have Kedusha Shvi'is. Okay? Mini adlokus ma'islach. Oh, let me make that clear. So wood chips we know don't have Kedusha Shvi'is. We don't know what the halachos by the perfume is. The Gemara never clarifies what the halachos by the perfume is. They have Kedusha Shvi'is. Gemara just leaves it dangling, as it will the next question. Mini adlokus, types of food which can be used to burn. Ma'islach, what are we talking about? Kegon pekua, such as pekua. Whatever that is, it's only suitable to be burnt. So is that Kedusha Shvi'is or not? Here we don't know as well. Ha'ain vered, a rose. Tani Beit Lasmi, we'll learn three things about it. Alin Shlo Yesh Lehem Shvi'is, its leaves have Shemitah. L'dmeim Shvi'is. And if you sold it, then whatever anybody paid for it has Shemitah as well. Yesh Lehem Biur, and there you have to do Biur on them. L'dmeim Biur, and whatever money you got from it has to have Biur done on as well. Pika Shelo, the rose hips. Now, I don't know what rose hips are, but they're part and parcel of a rose. Yes, but you've never seen a rose hip, have you? Neither have I. They make tea out of it, too. But rose hips, yesh la shvi'is, u'dameh shvi'is, that's shvi'is, and whether you buy with it, if you exchange it, then the barter is shvi'is, ein lo biur, ben lo dameh biur. But there's always rose hips out in the field for the animals. Leaves there aren't always, but rose hips there always are, and therefore you never have to do Biur on it. Ikar Shalo, its paint part, the rose paint, the famous rose-colored paint. Ein lo shvi'is, lo dama shvi'is, it doesn't have any shvi'is whatsoever. Ein lo Biur, lo dama Biur, it's like a piece of wood. Rabbi Yirmiyah Boli Kam Ravo, Ma'lich Bosh Min Har Vered. Now, this is talking about minahain. Sorry, Malch Bosh minahain vered. This is talking about can you soak the rose in oil? Yeah, but they used to put in oil if they wanted to make perfume out of it. It doesn't matter. Oil, water, whatever the case may be. Are you allowed to do that? Can you soak it, or is that considered to be diminishing the value of the plant, which is prohibited during Shemitah? What else do you do with the rose? All you can do is soak it. Tani Rabbi Chia said, no, it's human food. Ramona Arustun Shari. Ramona said that Arustun was permissible. Kitter tone is permissible. Shari mutter. Midi stone Shari, it's permissible. Draminu, Dramamine. Just kidding. Shari. What?
Of course, you had to be kidding.
What is that traveling?
I don't know.
I think it's
Yeah, I doubt it. Maybe. Drumming is permissible. Either those are all don't have halal status, halachos of shvi'is, because they're only used for the they're only used for an oil, and they're not considered to be either edible or used for coloring. So therefore, you're allowed to use them during Shemitah in order to make oil, rose oil or rose water. Idraminisun also, and diumrinos, those are types of roses which are edible, and therefore one is not allowed to use them for any other purpose except for eating. Okay? You don't have the next few lines. We machal beim, or do you? Machal, what's the next one? Okay, I have a header. From animal food, so then you have thorns and thistles, etc. Tzipori shailun Rabbi Ami. The people at Tzipori asked Rabbi Ami, Ma'ula hatein bechochim. Can you cover other grain in order to preserve its moisture with thorns? Malone, so he said, Atun come Vamrun b'shem Rabbi Chanina and say Rabbi Chanina afilu alei kul kesaya. Even certain other kind of vegetables, leaves are permissible for this purpose. Rabbi Yeshua said, "L'uvda." This is he answered a question in a specific case with this, and therefore I don't think you have next two words. My next two words by you? No, the samech alavi, and we can rely on this psak. Okay, so we can use all this thorns and thistles to cover other fruits to prevent them from going dry. Okay. Says the Gemara further, Rabbi Yeshua said, still haven't done a blot tonight, right?
We're guessing it, though.
Cement. So it goes on and on and on. Huh? By the way, the rest...
Refer to your article.
Gotcha. But the rest of the rest of Zroim, I looked ahead. The rest of Zroim, it doesn't have blot like this. Take a look. Skim the rest of the Gemara. Suzuka to wake you up. Skim the rest of the Gemara. No, skim the rest.
I like that.
Look at all the rest of the... No. It said the rest of the Yerushalmi. You see?
Yeah, we're doing a speed reading of the rest of the
Right. The rest of the Zroim is a breeze. By the way, it ends. Zroim ends on Pesach. So we're going to end ahead of time, so we can make a siyum on Zroim, bli neder on. That's the master plan at this point. It ends at Yud Zayin Nisan. Yud Zayin Nisan, I believe. Okay. But in the meantime, we're stuck in Shevi'is. Supposed to be finished. What's the last bond in Shevi'is? What's the last bond in Shevi'is?
last line of Shevi'is.
Black.
How many fly out there?
10 more?
Lamed Aleph.
Lamed Aleph. Yeah.
10 lines.
And we're on Daf Chaf now, right? Do your test.
Not quite. We still
Not quite. Okay, so another couple of weeks. But we're getting there. Anyway, so Rabbi Yeshua said, there's nothing which is specific for an animal, except for chatzir, animal fodder. Meaning, nothing else is klusha shvius. Well, that's the assumption which we would make from that. Nevertheless, even though chatzir, I messed that up. Let me do that over again. You should know there's nothing more designated for an animal than chatzir, than animal fodder. But nonetheless, even though it has klusha shvius, if you designated, you took it and designated to use to cover other grain, that's permissible, mutter. B'tani we learned this. If you took animal fodder or any other vegetable to cover other fruit with it, it's mutter, it's permissible. It doesn't say the word mutter. It doesn't say, mutter latim bain. You're allowed to cover with it. However, that's only prior to when it's designated to serve as a refrigerator. But if you thought aleim, and I have the two words here, lemachal behema, if you actually designate them for machal behema, then osalatim, at that point you can no longer use them to cover your other produce. Which when you use animal fodder to cover produce, but it hasn't yet been designated animal fodder. The moment it's been designated animal fodder, it can't be used to cover our other produce. Okay? Tani bar kapara, we learned bar kapara said mutalatim bohen vasi levos man. Although you can use animal fodder to cover other crops, you can't lend or borrow it or make it collateral. Why? Because that looks like you're doing what with it? Schora. You're not allowed to do schora with Perush Shvi'is. Schora, merchant. Oh, yeah. What? Yeah. Mercantile involvement. Okay? Mama, why? Lefi sheyesh length to Shvi'is. Because it has to do Shvi'is. Poche be'emoyin length to Shvi'is. Ask more, so what? What about a stam animal food? Doesn't have to do Shvi'is? You said you can make medicine from it. Gemara doesn't answer, but the truth is it's not such a strong kasha. Malug malodam is a valid use. If anything, it might be a greater use for animal fodder than using it to feed animals, because it's using it for a human being's purpose. But that still doesn't mean you can do schora in it. Schora still be prohibited. You're still allowed to do business with it, regardless.
So let's say the digitalis, which is a heart medicine, it doesn't grow in Israel.
Yeah.
So you can use it.
It's not meant for food.
No, but you eat it. Some people.
But people actually eat it as a.
Well, now they
Yeah.
grind it up.
I think malugma is only topical. The prohibition of using it for malugma is only for topical. But if ingested, even if ingested as medicine, that's okay. That's my impression. Okay?
Can you sell it?
No. Can't sell.
Use it personally.
Only personal use. We're going to learn all the term, all the legal loopholes. Jews need ways to make money, right? We're going to learn. Don't worry. But we're not there yet. Amrali it said, Shamati Osi Man Malug Malog, when it's allowed to use animal fodder to make a bandage for an individual. Shamutulu Sultan, when it's allowed to squeeze them out. Voisim Men is some law to make herbs and spices for human consumption. Tamatanina, we learned over there, not for human consumption, but for human health. Tamatanina, we learned over there. Lulav is rodin, the lulav meaning the frond, palm frond, the frond of, I don't even know what a frond is myself, but I know it's a good word. Lulav is rodin, shel adal, and cress. Now, cress, by the way, is the general translation of any type of vegetable. I'm not sure of. I've noticed that in the translators, which translate vegetables names in the Talmud, both Bavli and Yerushalmi, when they don't know what it is, they call it a cress, which I think is any kind of leafy vegetable. Lettuce is kind of cress, cabbage is kind of cress, watercress is a type of cress. So this is so I guess they have these fronds which grow from the tree. Vale loof shoytan, also the leaves of the idiot loof plant. They're not considered to be matam to masochlin until they are sweetened. The lama, why? Because they are bitter. Well, it's part of a kasha of lama. Because they're bitter. Harei turmasin, the famous lupines. I don't know what a lupine is. I'm sure you don't know either, but it's famous. Harei turmasin, aren't they bitter? Yet nonetheless, they're metami to masochlin even before they are made sweet. Shani turmusim shikar nochol adam. Turmusim are only meant for human beings to eat. That's their primary purpose. It takes a long time to prepare them, but they're meant to eat, as opposed to the fronds, which are not meant to eat. Lo tzurchada ela shaminad. We only need those two cases of loivisor and ado to teach us to shenk the shviz chalei machim to do. Also, they don't get good shviz until they become sweet, just like they don't get too masach until they become sweet. Okay, wait a minute. How can you say this? Look in Amarbiyas Rebbe Chanina. The Rebbe Chanina say, "Ocean chashuvein letami tu masach mishviz." Ocean, which is endives, are metami tu masach mishmita, even though they're not normally eaten. V'itmar Allah, because we learned concerning this earlier this evening. The logic of this is because we're talking about Achloiter Rebbe Lavi Yerg Mechutzarts before Rebbe allowed you to bring vegetables to Chutzarts. When you're limited to vegetables in Eretz Yisrael, therefore you take what you could get. Once Rebbe allowed you to bring vegetables to Chutzarts Eretz Yisrael, Hish Yishar Shnei Shavua. Endives are the same then during Shemitah as the rest of the 6 years. Just like the rest of the 6 years, they need designation before they're matami to masochlin. So during Shemitah, they need designation before they're tami to masochlin. Because lo yu chashuv sachiach shovalein. Here too, the love is rotten, and Edo shouldn't get any kedusha until you designate them. There should be like anything else which needs designation which needs designation, which needs designation if you don't normally heat it in order to make them tami to masochin.
How would she know that he is going to make her an apotropa?
Thing is, he learns. He learns. I'm not sure how he's learning. The Kavanok, it seems as though we're going back and saying that since we see that ocean, that endives become in Shemitah become food automatically. it seems like he wants to say. Yeah, now I got it. Okay, we said before that the fronds only b'matame when you give them special thought. You want to extrapolate that and say that during Shemitah they're also not susceptible to Shemitah until you give them special thought. We're rejecting that now because it's saying just like Rebbe prior to Rebbe's takana. And during Shemitah, where Makabel Tuma had Shevi'is without any prior thought, because during Shemitah vegetables are scarce, and you settle for second best vegetables. So we're saying that the fronds during Shemitah don't require machshava in order to be considered food. Why is that? Because since you can't get as many vegetables, you're willing to settle for less, and you don't need explicit machshava to make it suitable to Yukamel to Tuma, or to make it suitable to be susceptible to Shevi'is. Ask the Gemara, is there such, in any event, is there such a thing, which it's a question, which originally does have Kedusha Shevi'is and then gets Kedusha Shevi'is? Hey, people in the respond, yes, there is. If you collect them for wood, there's no Kedusha Shevi'is on them. And if you thought about it to make them food, Kedusha Shevi'is devolves upon them. Rabbi Chanina, so we see there is variation depending on what you chose, what you designate for. Rabbi Chanina said, you know, there it's different. Because there, if you had collected it with the intent of making food, it becomes Kedusha Shevi'is immediately. That's different. Perhaps a case where when you collect it, it's not Kedusha Shevi'is until you cook it and you make it sweet. Perhaps there it can never get Kedusha Shevi'is. That's it's kind like a migo that it could have gotten Kedusha right away when you collected it. Had you thought to eat it, so later on, if you think later on, that makes it Kaddish too. But if it's a type of material such as these, which are not edible, until you actually fix them up with some, spices, then maybe they don't get Kedusha Shevi'is. We don't know. We're not resolving the question. As May says Gemara, Haseya Satre, Ezov is Ezova, and Kornis is Kornisa. Should I have Rachmanos on you guys and stop now, or should we go further? What? You have to run to the airport?
Oh, yeah? Continental. In fact, I was going to call to find out.
You can carpool. It said another principle. Going back to Mishnah. It said another principle. Kosher machal, or the main thing which is suitable for human consumption, umachal be'emo, or for animal consumption, uminat sovim, or can create dyes, and survives in the ground. Yeah, and survives in the ground. Yesh lo shvi'is, it has shmita, uladama shvi'is, and if anything which is bought for it, anything which is exchanged for it has shvi'is as well. Ain't no beer, but since it's constantly in the ground all the time, there's no beer. Because beer is when that fruit is no longer available to the animals in the field. But this fruit is always available because it's always out in the field. So there's no beer in such a vegetable or such a fruit. Elo beer, lo dama beer. Ezulu, what in such cases? Ikar luf ashoite, the root of the idiot luf. Ikar dandano, mint, akrabanin, some bitter herb, bachal batzanim, some type of vegetable, vabucharia, some other type of vegetable. Uminat tovim, and what are those things from paints? Hapua varakva. There's different types of paint vegetables. All these cases, the Yerushalmi Shevi'is and the Meir Shevi'is, they do Kedusha Shevi'is, but Eilam beer of blood, Meir beer, you don't do beer on them. And Meir, very interesting thing. Meir says the Meir is Baron Rosh Hashanah. If you actually paid for them, no, it's a bad case. If you got money in exchange for them, that money you must get rid of by Rosh Hashanah of the 8th year. The Gemara is going to explain why. Amulo, so he said they rejected it. He said, "Lo hem ain't beer. If they don't have beer, kavachom is made. Certainly, that which you get for them doesn't have beer either." Okay. Now let's go back to the Gemara. Mal chabetzonim, what are chabetzonim? Beitei neitzcholim. Right? Me'omer, the name is Baron. You don't have that header. Tanya, you have Tanya, right? Tanya, I'm right, Meir Chachamim.
Well, it says Amar Lahem Remeir.
Okay, fine. It's very interesting halacha. I'm more machmir by the money than the primary substance. Why is that? I'll bring a proof of that. Shashemet shel Shevi'is. If you have oil from the Shemitah, your madlikin bowl, you can use it to light your candle. We learned that. It's tia lakas aner. Mochav alagabo shemen. However, what happens if you sold Shevi'is fruit? Zuchveis, you sold an orange, and you got 50 cents. Now with that 50 cents, you used oil. You bought oil. That oil ain't madlikin bo. You're not allowed to burn it. Why not? Because we say Shevi'is is always teifes is domov. Shevi'is takes hold of whatever is the last product used in line. In other words, if I had an orange, the orange always remains kodesh. But if I sold the orange, right, the orange is kodesh and the money is kodesh. If I use the money to buy oil, then the money is no longer kodesh, but now the oil is kodesh. And so on and so forth. If I use the oil to buy right, from one object to the other, it remains the first one, then it's transferred down the line. So it says right here, if the last thing is the oil, I can't burn that oil. Why?
But if you then transfer to another,
then you can burn the oil. Then we're going to come to that. But why is that? Because I'm afraid you won't realize that this is Kaddish Kedusha Shevi'is. This is where we remind you, ding, 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 ding. This is Kedusha Shevi'is. Don't come too close to it. Okay? Or be mevarer it. That's really the issue. Rabbi Evan said, "Ichliv shemen b'shemen." I had olive oil, and you had canola oil, and they're both Shemitah oils. So I switched with you. Because you needed olive oil and I needed canola oil. Guess what? We're both up the creek. Because now we switch. So the chalifin of my oil is your oil. The chalifin of your oil is my oil. So now neither oils are usable. We really messed each other up royally in this case, right? So what do you do in such a case? It says the Gemara, Yichlifu shemen b'shemen shnei masurim. Okay, so also what you do in that case? Because the Shem Rabbi Yehuda says, Machlif shnei b'shel chulin. Each one of us has to go and switch the oil which we received with chulin. Because then the oil, as you pointed out, is no longer kadosh, and the next chulin is kadosh instead. Yichlif yain b'shemen kumadat amar. What about if I traded my wine for your oil? The same idea. Just like you said, yain ain't sachin osavim limbo. Now you can't use the wine to anoint yourself nor to light it, which of course is just a mistake because obviously you don't light wine. But kaval say shemen, so to the oil, and sachin so you can't anoint with it, but you can't light with it. Hichliv alim bulavin until you switch it again. If I switch leaves for branches, or just like it had biur, the leaves. Now the kavasu lovin yeshlen biur. The halacha biur, which does apply leaves, has now transferred to lovin, which normally don't have biur. They transferred. You switch the animal food for human food. Now the kedusha of the ochel adam, which means you can't use them to make a plaster or a bandage. Now you can't make malugma with the animal fodder. Vatanya, this is a kasha. Didn't we learn? How can you say it? So we learn you can sell human food and animal food to buy human food. You can't sell animal food to buy the koshkin. He can't sell. You can't sell human food to buy animal food. Why not? If the animal food now gets the kedusha of human food, why can't you sell the animal food for the human food for animal food? Do you understand the kasha? You're not going down a level. Because whatever kedusha was on the human food is going to transfer to the animal food. So there's no going down a level. What's the problem? Right? So says the Gemara, very interesting thing. You're right, you can't sell it. What are you not allowed to do? This is what you're not allowed to do. Kniv to the yarka, if you have a fresh bundle of vegetables, you're not allowed to cut off the leaves, when gradually some leaves get wilted, you're not allowed to cut off the wilted leaves. Because what do you do with the wilted leaves? You take them up to your roof, maskin la'aigra, v'yavshim and they dry in their own accord, and then you feed them to your animal. It's no good. Because there was no chalifin. There, the food deteriorated, and you pushed the process along. So in that case, you're actually taking something which is machal adam and eroding its status to machal behema. That's forbidden.
What if you don't actively push it? You just let it.
Doesn't matter. You're not allowed to use it for machal behema. Once it was machal adam, it can't. Right, you can't erode down. That's the chiddush here. So it's not talking about where you switch, because they're anyway the kedusha transfer. So that would happen on its own. When is biur for the various different substances? Rabbi Yochanan B'Shem Ben Yitzchak said, "B'yayin at Pesach, by wine it's till Pesach, b'Shem by oil it's at Chaseres till Shavuos, grows for dates at Purim, and Rabbi Yochanan said b'Tmorim by dates at Chanukah, it's until Chanukah." How many lines do we have left to finish the page?
We only have about 10 more lines.
10 more lines. Well, we have to go back to the Mishnah.
Sorry, because if they're arriving at 9:47, they still have to remind themselves that it's luggage.
Klipi Rimon. We're going back for Sukkot now? Oh, so plenty of time. Klipi Rimon. You see Klipi Rimon?
Yeah. It's 3 lines from the
Klipi Rimon is stuff which can pomegranate husks, vanechlo, or the little flower of the pomegranate, or klipi goes in nutshells. These can all be used to make dyes. Galinim and pits, which can be made used to make oil. Yesh lem shvi'is udmeim shvi'is. They have shvi'is, and anything which you acquire for them has shvi'is as well. Go to the Gemara. You know what? Let's go to the Gemara. Too bad. Tough. Rabbi Shem Barva. I was going to be merciful on you, but I decided not to. Rabbi Shem Barva. Then they Shem Barva. And Rabbi Yochanan the Chavrusay, Rabbi Yochanan is Chavrusa, Haviyasu Makshin, they were sitting and asking kashas for Amri. They said, Yesh lem biur, vein lem biur, or vein lem biur. These substances which you just mentioned, do they have biur or don't they have biur? Because the Mishnah doesn't talk about them. Over Rabbi Yanai. So Rabbi Yanai passed by. Army, they said, here's a good person to ask, let's ask him. Asked him, they went and asked Rabbi Yanai. Army said, so he said to them, Kol davar shedarko lishor, anything which falls off the tree, yesh lo biur. Why? Because that means that at some point there's no fruit left on the tree. That's when you have to renounce your ownership and what you have in your house in order to make it available to the animal. Shein darko lishor, anything which doesn't fall off the tree, ain't lo biur, doesn't have biur. Veilu me'en shedarko lishor, some of them fall off the tree. Me'en shedarko lishor, some of them don't fall off the tree. And therefore, V'sora Tana Mina, the Tana didn't want to discuss it because he didn't want to give exact details as to which the status were, as to what the status of each one was, because various of them have various different statuses. Okay, go back to the Mishnah again. No, we're not going to get to finish the Mishnah now. He divides the Mishnah into 6 segments, 3 more. Hatzaba Tzovea Latzma. A dyer dies for himself. He can't sell anything he dyes during Shemitah. Why is that? Because that's making schera with the dye. And Shena seems schera pay or shvi'is. Lo b'chor is so too, you're not allowed to do schera with b'chor, a firstborn, which goes to Kohen, lo b'trumos, which goes to Kohen, lo nevelos, nor in products slaughtered in certain slaughterhouses. Nevelos means, animals which are not slaughtered properly. Lo b'trefus. I'm on tape. I'm not going to say anything.
Suppose it dying by itself.
Yeah. Lo b'shkatzim, lo masim, nor in insects or other creepy crawly things. Let's go to the Mishnah, the Gemara. Can I die for free, and the guy who I'm dying for is going to be makir tov to me for having colored the garment for him? Tova Sanoah. Right. Can I do that? We might have time for that, which we learned. Hashal Shulis Vachal Benon. So various different types of dyeing grasses. A merchant can dye for himself. Now, a merchant never charges money. That's not his business. If he dies as a favor for somebody. He's only allowed to do it for himself, not for anybody else. Hadamras teaches us also leads You're not allowed to die for somebody else, even if all the other person is going to owe you is a debt of gratitude. It's a major chumrah.
That's consistent. The Gemara, I think, all along is given a
value. Yes, it has all along. It is consistent. You don't have that header. You have Tani, right? Do you have Tani even? Or you have Sheket Seim Lochem? It starts over Sheket Seim Lochem. What? You don't have that? What's your next word? Ksiv? Yeah, what comes after Ksiv?
Ksiv, Tmeim, Heim Alochem.
Different pasuk even. He has Sheket Seim Lochem. It's repugnant onto you. Ma Tamul Omer, do you have Ma Tamul Omer?
Yeah.
Sheket Yulochem, and you have Tmeim Yulochem, obviously, right? El Echad Isser ve'Echad, why it say twice? Echad Isser Achila, he must have changed because there's no pasuk of Tmeim Yulochem. Or it's referring to the wrong thing. Echad Isser Achila ve'Echad Isser Schol Anoah. He's learned that there's an Isser Anoah Midoraisa on the Veilus and Trefus. Not that he's not allowed to have any Anoah for him, but he's not allowed to make money off of them. Tani, we learned Kol Davar She'Yisur Dvar Torah, anything which is also the Raisa, also so supposed Schora. Now to make money off it. Kol Davar She'Yisur Dvar anything which is also Rabbanim Mutar Lasos B'Chora. You're allowed to make money off it. So says the Gemara Varei Chamor. So how can you open a donkey selling business? It's also the Raisa to eat. So it says the Gemara Lemlachto Gadol. You
selling it for
right.
food.
That's Gemara's answer. You sell it for work. Varei Gamol, same answer. Lemlachto Gadol. Camels are used for work as well. Now, since you're allowed, however, to make business by this is the Rabbanan, that opens all sorts of vistas. Rabbi Yosha Nosav v'Yoav used to buy and sell b'hadim uraisa in fish oil, which was sometimes also because they mixed wine in it. Rabbi Chudan Nosav v'Yoav b'hadim chaltisa, he bought and sold sharp vegetables cut with knives of goyim, which become aser. But nonetheless, since it's only this is Rabbanan, nishkei for Allah. Okay? So we turn the page. I think we'll stop here for today. And because it goes back to the mission another 2 times. I don't know if I mentioned before or after you came in.